Good morning. It is Tuesday, July 5th. I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Paula Zahn. Welcome to CBS This Morning.
Making headlines this morning as O.J. Simpson heads back to court. We'll take a closer look at how the police searched for evidence.
Plus, California wildfires burned thousands of acres. Can firefighters save hundreds of homes?
And summer's awesome danger, playing it safe when lightning strikes. All that and more on CBS This Morning. Welcome back.
Thank you. We're both back in the trenches again. Nice to see you.
There you go.
So excited about coming into work this morning. Got up at 1, 2, and 3 to make sure I was here in time with the 4 alarm clocks going off 5 minutes apart.
Mark, however, is off today. And Maria Gennaro of WCIX-TV is our weather this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Good morning, Paula. Welcome back. And we're going to take a look. Alberto is not done yet. Still more rain throughout the southeast and the Midwest. We'll have all the details for you in just a moment.
Time now for the latest news this morning. O.J. Simpson is back in court today, where the focus will be on the status of evidence in his case. Sandra Hughes is live in our Los Angeles bureau with the latest. Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. The hearing on a motion to suppress evidence will take place in just a few hours. Now, you can imagine the mysterious events that took place in court on Friday have fueled so much speculation. Curiosity is at a peak, with people hoping to have their questions answered today.
The first item of business today will be a defense motion to suppress all evidence gathered at Simpson's estate right after the murders. CBS News has learned that famed attorney F. Lee Bailey, already advising Simpson's defense team, is expected to be in court and may cross-examine witnesses today. There is also the mystery surrounding the envelope unveiled in court on Friday, which many speculate could contain a knife. Also fueling speculation, a knife found over the weekend by a sightseer outside Simpson's home. Simpson's Brentwood mansion became a strange stopover for holiday travelers over the weekend.
Well, we were going to the beach, but it wasn't sunny, so we decided to do something interesting.
Apparently, the murder mystery is selling.
And they're selling hot, so get yours now.
It's also fueling a flood of onlookers who come to take pictures or just stare. They can't even get close to O.J. Simpson's house. It's been cordoned off 3 blocks away. Still, they come. At Nicole Simpson's condominium, neighbors find the crowd's an intrusion. Signs say, "Go home." But over the weekend, it wasn't just the curious who traipsed around the exclusive area. Prosecutors walked around the yard where the bodies of Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman were found. Meantime, O.J. Simpson had only 2 visitors yesterday, his psychiatrist and former football friend, Bob Chandler.
Now, with the suppression motion on tap for first thing this morning, it may be a while before we get back to the actual preliminary hearing, which started last week. Harry?
Sandra Hughes live in Los Angeles this morning. Thank you. Coming up right after the news, we'll take a closer look at the evidence dispute in the Simpson case. PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat arrived in Jericho today and promptly set up a formal Palestinian government. Bob Simon is standing by in Jericho with the latest. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Harry, and it is brand new, this new Palestinian government. Arafat just swore in 12 members of what will be a cabinet, which will in effect rule the territories, the new Palestinian entity, until elections which are provisionally scheduled in the fall. Arafat arrived in an Egyptian helicopter with an Israeli escort, but everything in Jericho was Palestinian. The man who has reviewed so many honor guards in so many foreign countries today was greeted by his very own. There was a real red carpet, there were bagpipers. Everything was orchestrated to underscore the symbolism of the event. Jericho may be a dusty desert town of 25,000, but it is the West Bank. It is Arafat's first foothold here. It is a half hour from Jerusalem. Israeli settlers tried to block the roads from Jerusalem, tried to prevent West Bankers from getting to see their leader. They succeeded only in creating a spectacle, which was, of course, the point of the exercise. Thousands braved the brutal July sun to hear Arafat. One woman crashed through the security cordon to kiss him. Others were overwhelmed by emotion. Arafat was tough on the Israelis in his speech. He attacked them for permitting the settlers to block the roads, saying it was a violation of the peace accord. The Israeli government has denied the allegation. In fact, what's becoming a little war of words today, the government spokesman put out a statement which says rather caustically, instead of looking for scapegoats, the Palestinians would do better to examine their own performance.
Harry?
Bob Simon, live in Jericho this morning. Thank you. The U.S. is sending 4 Navy warships to Haiti. A senior defense official told the Associated Press the task force will include 2,000 Marines aboard the USS Incheon, a helicopter assault ship. That will bring the number of Coast Guard and Navy vessels off Haiti to 13. Meanwhile, the exodus of Haitian boat people from their homeland has led to a terrible accident. Randall Pinkston is standing by in Port-au-Prince with more on that story. Good morning, Randall.
Good morning, Harry. This was not the first disaster for Haitians on makeshift boats, but it may have been the worst. According to reports, rowboats were ferrying desperate passengers to a small vessel offshore about 60 miles north of here early yesterday morning when that vessel made a sudden turn, sending the passengers overboard. We're told that 150 passengers are believed to have drowned. There were 200 on the vessel. So as far as we know, Haitian authorities did not request any assistance from U.S. Coast Guard vessels which were in territorial waters offshore. We are also told, of course, that all of the Haitians leaving these days is because the Clinton administration has changed its policies, making it easier for Haitians to seek political asylum offshore. Harry?
Randall Pinkston live in Port-au-Prince this morning. Thank you. Busy news morning this morning. It is 6 minutes after the hour. Maria Gennaro is going to update our weather right now from WCIX TV in Miami. You're in our Miami bureau. Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. It's a busy weather day also. Alberto is not finished yet. Still, more downpours expected throughout the southeast. Looking for another 2 to 4 inches of rain throughout Georgia and also South Carolina. And the Midwest again today will be pounded with some heavy storms. Once again, they could see some damaging hail, strong winds, and very dangerous lightning. Also, throughout most of the rest of the country, it looks pretty good today and a little bit cooler throughout Texas. That's a look at the national weather this morning.
In other news today, the Federal Reserve begins a key meeting on interest rates today. Most analysts are betting the Fed will decide not to boost rates for a 5th time this year. A hike would prop up the sagging dollar, but would risk choking off the nation's economic recovery. And it's true, the rich are getting richer. Forbes magazine has added 47 new billionaires to its annual list of the world's richest people. On top once again is the Walton family of Walmart fame with more than $23 billion. They are followed by the Mars candy bar family, the DuPonts, a Swedish family of industrialists, and a Japanese hotel and railroad owner. Yesterday's 4th of July celebrations were marred by several fireworks accidents, including dozens and killing 2. But most places, the show went on without a hitch. In the nation's capital, some 300,000 people saw the annual fireworks display as the National Symphony Orchestra provided appropriately stirring music. Would have been the 1812 overture, right? And they were also celebrating in the Big Apple last night. There were several fireworks displays in and around New York City, but the biggest one was over the river, over the East River. Huge crowds lined the river's edge to watch the show light up the city skyline. What a show. And it may have been the 4th of July, but that was no help to the U.S. soccer team against Brazil in the World Cup yesterday. Midfielder Tab Ramos left in the first half after he was elbowed by a Brazilian who was ejected. Ramos suffered a slight skull fracture. The game was scoreless until the 74th minute when the Brazilians broke through and won it 1-0. So much for the dream season. 9 minutes after the hour, here's a closer look at the weather. Maria is in Miami. Did you stay up and watch some fireworks last night? No.
No way.
Okay, good for you. You're bright-eyed this morning then.
That's right. Oh, I was very tired yesterday. No, I went right home and went to bed, and that was it. Fireworks only in my head. Take a look at the national satellite photo right now. This is the whole story. Alberto not going anywhere quickly. So unfortunately for Georgia, South Carolina, more rain again today. It looks as though it's going to stick around for tomorrow also. Also throughout the northern plains and the Midwest. Yesterday they were pounded by heavy storms. They're going to see it again today. Most of the rest of the country is clear. However, a few little sprinkles will be up throughout the northwest. That's a look at the national forecast. Now, here's a look at your weather. In Buffalo today, afternoon thunderstorms, 86 degrees. In Columbia, South Carolina, thunderstorms today and 85. Little Rock, sunny and 92. In Madison, Wisconsin, thunderstorms, 87 degrees.
Segment one this morning, a key day in O.J. Simpson's preliminary hearing. Judge Kathleen Kennedy Powell is considering a defense request to throw out 34 pieces of evidence, potentially a major blow to the prosecution. The main issue at hand, did the police act properly? Bill Whitaker has more from Los Angeles.
Since the night police discovered the bodies of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, the search for evidence has gone on almost every day. But the most incriminating evidence so far was found within hours of the murders at O.J. Simpson's house.
The officers went to notify not only O.J. of the death of his wife, his ex-wife, but also that his children were in police custody.
How the police gathered that evidence that night is the controversy. Lawyers for Simpson are claiming it was an illegal search and seizure. That evidence was discovered 6 hours before police had a search warrant.
The defense is going to argue, yes, a search warrant was required. The police are going to argue that they weren't there for purpose of a search. They were there to notify O.J. Simpson. Thus, a search warrant wasn't required, and anything they saw, such as the glove and the blood on the car, was in plain view.
If they do enter immediately, then they're going to be questioned of, why didn't you stop and get a warrant? No matter what they do, they're in a catch-22 situation. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't.
Police arrived at O.J. Simpson's gated estate. No one answered the intercom. In the defense version of events, a detective climbed over the 5-foot wall, opened the gate, and admitted the remaining detectives. Next, they engaged in intense inspection of the driveway pavement and seized the entire area, all without a search warrant.
The police are going to argue that it didn't occur to them that they needed a search warrant because they weren't there to look for evidence.
In the police version, detectives saw blood on the door handle of Simpson's Bronco parked on the street. Later, more blood, leading from the vehicle on the street to the front door of the residence. 6 hours later, police obtained a search warrant for O.J. Simpson's house. But this was after they already had observed crucial pieces of evidence. Blood on the driveway, a leather glove similar to one found near the bodies, which could tie O.J. Simpson to the murders. But his defense attorneys say this evidence was observed without a warrant and should be thrown out. And according to the defense, when police did get a search warrant, they did so under false pretenses, stating Simpson had left on an unexpected flight to Chicago. Simpson lawyers say untrue. Police knew Simpson was on a planned business trip. How will the judge rule?
It would be a severe blow to the prosecution if this evidence is excluded.
While the search continues for the murder weapon and we wait to find out what is in the unopened envelope, both prosecution and defense will present their arguments today on whether crucial evidence will ever be admitted into court. Bill Whitaker in Los Angeles for CBS This Morning.
And a reminder, CBS News will provide live coverage of the O.J. Simpson preliminary hearing beginning at noon Eastern Time. We're moving up on just about 15 minutes past the hour. Coming up next, a mystery envelope, a question of evidence, some expert analysis straight ahead. And still to come on CBS This Morning, John Stair helps you save money for the short term. Plus, Dr. Howard Torman finds physicians providing health care for free. And a new book on the fine art of motherhood. We'll be back.
Meet the nanny for the 90s.
Wow, this place is nicer than my Uncle Jack's condo in Boca. You know, he bought the model.
This extremely rich widower needs all the help he can get raising his children.
I sent him to his room.
Oh, please, with a widescreen TV and a fully stocked mini fridge, punish me.
But can this old-fashioned working girl handle 3 upper-class kids?
I've worked wonders with them.
Shut up, Brayden! You shut up!
You see? Before me, they never communicated.
The Nanny, Wednesday on CBS.
Your approach is looking good, Cobra.
The men and women in the National Guard and Reserve face some tough challenges when they serve. Challenges that teach them discipline, leadership, and technical skills that make them better employees. So when they need time off to serve, don't make their toughest challenge approaching you.
I want you. I want your hand on my back when I make my way through a crowd. I want to feel you watch me when I talk to my friends. Talk to me. Tell me about your friends, your family. Look at me. I want to spend my life with you. And I'll never hurt you, never lie to you, and never put you in danger. There's a time for us to be lovers. We will wait until that time comes.
Say Merry Christmas. Did you have a good Christmas? Yeah, get lots of stuff. Yay! Get your horsey. Do something cute. You're just gonna sit there and grin.
Next time your friend insists on driving drunk, do whatever it takes to stop him.
16 minutes after the hour, a little later today, it will be another round of lawyer versus lawyer in the case of the People versus O.J. Simpson. What should we look for as the preliminary hearing resumes? Let's go live to Los Angeles and our expert analyst, Vincent Bugliosi, who prosecuted the Manson murder case. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Harry.
So what should we be watching for this morning?
Well, Harry, the police are going to be challenging the validity of two police searches in this case. One without a warrant on June the 13th at 4:30 in the morning, just a couple hours after the murders, and the other one with a search warrant about 6 hours later, which in fact was based on a search warrant and based on an affidavit by the police. What the defense is going to be doing today is they're going to be challenging both of these searches and attempting to exclude from the prosecution's case all evidence seized by law enforcement from Mr. Simpson's car and home on the ground that they were the product of an unlawful search and seizure. And in ruling on this motion, the court obviously is going to be taking testimony from the officers in this case and also from people like Mr. Simpson's daughter, who was at the residence that night, and apparently there was another young man who stayed in separate quarters on the estate.
Let's move to this police affidavit for a second. It is routinely vague, I guess you could say. How important is this lack of detail in the affidavit?
Well, the police, in determining the validity of these affidavits, have been traditionally very realistic. These affidavits are drafted by the police, Harry, in the midst and haste of a criminal investigation, so there really is no requirement of elaborate specificity. I have to say that this particular affidavit is more vague than many others as to details. Not only doesn't it set forth how the police got onto the premises, but it's not even clear from the affidavit whether they entered the residence in those early morning hours before they got the search warrant. But this lack of detail is not going to be controlling. The central question is whether what they did set forth constituted sufficient cause to justify the issuance of the warrant.
Because one of the big questions is they came upon this electronic gate, and I suppose if things were done really strictly according to the rule book, should they have stopped right there and obtained a search warrant?
Well, undoubtedly that's going to be one of the main parts of this entire motion. Under the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, before the police enter and search a home, Harry, they have to get a search warrant, unless there are what the law calls exigent circumstances. These are emergency situations, such as to prevent the destruction of evidence or the fresh pursuit of a dangerous felon, etc. Situations where there simply is no time to get a search warrant. And the exigent circumstance that the DA may very well argue in this case is that before the police entered the premises of Mr. Simpson's residence, they did see blood on the driver's door handle of a car parked outside the residence, and in juxtaposition with their just having learned that his former wife had been murdered, this gave them probable cause to believe that perhaps the life of Mr. Simpson or someone else inside the residence was in jeopardy. So they had to act very, very expeditiously. And I think this is a somewhat meritorious argument.
One of the other elements in the affidavit that the defense is focusing on is the notion that the police asked for a search warrant under maybe what would be called well, not necessarily completely truthful circumstances, because they saw the daughter. The daughter said he is on this planned flight. They even arranged to communicate with him, but as they appealed for this search warrant, they said that Mr. Simpson had left unexpectedly. How is that all going to be played out?
Well, this is going to have enormous legal significance. It depends, of course, if in fact this was a planned trip by Mr. Simpson and if in fact the police knew about it. If the police unknowingly make a false statement of fact in the affidavit, then it's handled very simply. The false statement is deleted from the affidavit, and if the remaining facts establish probable cause, then the motion to suppress is denied. However, if it can be shown that the police knowingly made a false statement of fact, i.e. that they lied, the California Supreme Court has ruled that the warrant has to be quashed and all the evidence excluded, irrespective of whether there is sufficient remaining probable cause. And the rationale is not just on public policy grounds, Harry, but it's the reality that the judge who signed that warrant, if he had known that the police were lying to him in a particular part of the case or a particular part of the affidavit, he may have disbelieved the remaining part of the affidavit. So actually, the misstatement, the deliberate misstatement in the affidavit contaminates the entire affidavit.
Do you think the judge will rule on this today?
I kind of think that's unlikely. This ruling or this motion to suppress is going to be one of the battlegrounds in this entire case, and I would imagine that the hearing is going to go on for a couple days.
What about this mysterious envelope? I mean, there have been lots of mysterious things over the last couple of days. Since Friday, there is one envelope that the defense presented that the contents of which are apparently unknown. What should we make of the mysterious envelope?
Well, undoubtedly it's going to be opened in due time by the judge, and she will do this obviously in the presence of both sides, but outside the public eye. And if the evidence turns out to be incriminating, eventually the prosecution is going to introduce it. If it's exculpatory, that means favorable, then the defense is going to introduce it. If it's neither incriminating nor exculpatory, which based on all the theatrics involved here, I've got to think that there's some relevance to the contents of that envelope one way or the other. Then what could be happening, if it has no relevance, and I doubt that very much, the judge could actually reseal that envelope and the public will never learn the contents of that envelope. But I doubt that very much.
All right, Vincent Bugliosi, we thank you so much for your help this morning. It is quite a web that needs to be entangled here every day. Thank you. We do appreciate your time and information.
Thank you, Harry.
22 minutes after the hour, of course, live coverage of the hearings will resume here on CBS 12 o'clock Eastern Time. That's 9 o'clock Pacific. Paula?
All right, thanks, Harry. And stay with us this morning for two-time Oscar winner Sally Field. She's the mom in Forrest Gump and the author of a new book on Queen Elizabeth with some information that might surprise you.
Tomorrow's world looks like today's, but it's deceptive. To prepare, stay in school. Then get powerful tools, education, training, and experience from the Air Force. In the Air Force, you'll hold your tomorrow in the palm of your hand. Aim high. Air Force.
Looking for an alternative to Clinton's new health plan? Deal me in. Try Dr. Sloan's health plan.
Let me take your pulse.
You can take anything you like, Doctor.
Every week, it's a new case.
Dr. Sloan fancies himself some sort of sleuth.
And a new suspect.
I want you to lock all the doors and call the cops.
With an emphasis on natural healing.
Had a little frog in your throat, that's all.
Best of all, you won't be tied up with bills.
Whoa, Dad. Don't start with me.
Dick Van Dyke and Scott Baio. Diagnosis Murder Friday on CBS.
Manuel is getting a hot meal every day. Pat and Rakiba have a safe place to live. And the McKay family, you're keeping them together. Truth is, when you support today's United Way, you're helping people in your community who need help and making a difference right here in your own backyard. Be the difference, see the difference.
What would make this 60-year-old woman reveal her breasts to someone she doesn't know? It would have to be for a very good reason, like getting a mammogram. A doctor told her the older she gets, the higher the risk of breast cancer. But early detection increases her chance of successful treatment. Getting a mammogram might just save her life, especially if you're over 50. Call the American Cancer Society. Early detection is the best protection.
morning. We are back. How you doing, partner?
Excellent. And you?
I'm great, thanks. Howard Torman's here. John Stairs here.
Good morning.
So you were here yesterday, right?
Me, yeah.
After
was
week's
I
vacation?
Here?
Were you? Physically, you might have been here.
I was here. I was here railing against fireworks, and I was on a soapbox yesterday.
Saying that we should.
You were? You don't like fireworks?
No, little kids and people who
Sparklers.
bring home these huge, gigantic detonation devices.
Bombs.
It's crazy. What did they call it the other day? It's a big what?
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
The big
it's
one
as
with
big
the
as
fuse that comes out of the center.
It's the equivalent of a quarter of a stick of dynamite.
That's ridiculous.
And I thought of you last night at 10 o'clock at night, between 10 and 12, when everyone in our neighborhood seemed to own 2 or 3 of those, and we're all intent on setting them off outside our windows.
And how many? Yesterday I was listening to WCBS News Radio 88, and what did they say? Already just in one hospital, was it Bellevue? Yeah. They had a dozen cases for the microsurgeons there. People trying to reattach little fingers and all of that stuff, and that's one hospital. And if they ran a survey across the country, it would be astounding. Anyway, let's move on to something else.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the sermon yesterday. It was great. I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good now.
There you go.
We had a great parade out in my town yesterday.
Yes.
Of course, it's the centennial year for our town, the 100th anniversary.
Now, you live out in New Jersey, right?
Out in New Jersey, a town of 10,000 people. And the parade, instead of going down the hill, it went up the hill, which is what they used to do, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had a big fair at the end.
And
it's
rock?
Glen Rock.
Glen Rock.
Glen Rock.
Because there's a rock in the middle of town.
A big rock.
An unexplained
so the parade started at the rock,
right.
and went up the hill and ended at the police station, which was nice.
Decent enough.
But I was a parade marshal, so I had responsibilities to. I had to line up. It was very exciting. I lined up 13 groups that were in the parade.
Right.
And you had to put them in the right order and tell them when to go.
Did you have an armband on and everything?
I had a shirt with the, I'm a member of the Independence Day Association in Glen Rock, and I had to make the decision, the hard decision, to kick out the horses, because this group of people came with 15 horses, and they come every year, and it's a big tradition, and everybody loves the horses.
Do they have diaper bags behind
No,
them?
and they didn't bring anybody to clean up after them, which is what they're supposed to do. Their contract says you have to bring somebody to clean up,
So
and they
people
didn't bring
behind
them.
them would have to go.
Right.
Just
So
gingerly
I
march
kicked
along.
them out. Can't be in.
So will you be back
15
next year?
This guy is hard, I'll tell you.
The parade director.
What's the last act? What's the last act in the parade?
The last act in the parade is the
cleans up the
children
horses.
in town ride their bicycles.
Don't you love that? That's why you
some
said
of
in
them,
our hometown.
some of them register, and then others join as the parade goes along. And the horses are like 3 or 4 from the back.
So let
That
me
is
ask
tough. So you were really faced with it. You could theoretically have put the horses in last.
I could have done that.
But that would have ruined the children's
crepe paper in their bicycle spokes.
That's right.
That would have been a mess.
But I made the hard decision to kick out the.
They're talking about
Well, they
him.
are actually.
They are.
A lot of people said, "Where were the horses?" And I said, "Hey, they're out of here. They didn't bring the guy to clean up. They're gone."
Is this a tenured position? I mean, is this something you're likely to do
We'll
again?
see. We'll see. The parade director, though, told me I did the right thing. He stood behind me on this one.
Well, you made the parade more inclusive that way. I mean, that's the kind of hometowns Harry and I grew up in with you.
Yep.
You know, if you had a bike, you got to
Well,
be
your
in the
hometown's
parade.
not like that anymore. Your
It's a
hometown
lot
has
bigger
grown
than
and gotten a lot
10,000.
bigger.
Started off that size.
Yeah.
When I lived there.
They're screaming about him over coffee this morning. They're in Glen Rock.
That's the TV guy that took his horses out of there.
This is CBS.